All right, let's talk about the book Not Even Bones by Rebecca Schaeffer. So I just finished reading this book yesterday, and the book is still really fresh in my mind, and so I've got a lot to say about it. First of all, let me just read you a little blurb so that you have an idea of what I'm talking about here. It says, Dexter meets this savage song in a dark fantasy about a girl who sells magical body parts on the black market until she's betrayed. Those are some very, very hefty statements. If you've ever seen Dexter, you know that it is a very graphic show. And if you've ever read this savage song, you know that it is a very popular YA novel. We've got our main character, Nita, and she has special abilities of her own, but she also has this really weird addiction to, how should I put this? Cutting up people who aren't actually technically people because they're magical creatures so that her mom can sell their parts on the black market. This is our hero, guys. This is what makes this book so unique and different. The fact that our main character, the one that we're following around, we're not actually meant to just love everything about her. She is extremely, extremely flawed. The author does not try to hide that in the least, which I love because most books, we get a main character, our protagonist, and then we find out that they have a flaw, and then that flaw is sort of either quickly or over the course of the book dealt with in a way that we can all relate to and come to love that main character. All I can say without spoiling anything is don't expect that type of character development. There's definitely character development, but it's not the type that's very stereotypical where the character becomes this amazing, all-around, just fantastic person that we can all relate to and want to hang out with and be friends with. That being said, I'd still hang out with Nita because that's my kind of people. Not the kind of people that cut people up. Man, I'm digging a hole right now, aren't I? Interesting people. Let's go with that. So things get really twisted when the roles are a bit reversed and Nita becomes the subject of this black market. What I found really unique about this book is the fact that we've got everything from unicorns, vampires, these really crazy characters called zannies that eat people's suffering. It's amazing. This book is really good. I know personally when I read a book, if I just want to keep reading and I don't want to put it down, it's a really good book, or a book that I get through really quickly, because I'm not a fast reader. I like to really digest what I'm reading and take things slow, and I got through this book fairly quickly for me at my pace because it was just so good and so unputdownable, which yes, that's a word that we book readers use, that I couldn't stop reading. That being said, the chapters are also manageable. I'm not talking about like 1 or 2 pages a chapter. Those are just crazy short chapters that I also kind of really like. But the chapters are manageable, meaning that each chapter lasts anywhere from 7 to 12 minutes. So your average reader can really just sit down. If you've got an extra 10 minutes throughout the day, read a chapter, or if you've got an extra half hour or hour, you can really get through some chapters in this book. And I love that. I hate books that have really long chapters. Even if it's a fantastic book, my attention span has to have something really good, and it has to be broken down for me to be able to focus and really enjoy a book. That being said, I wanted to make a completely spoiler-free review about this book to tell you, you should be reading this book. If you like books that are definitely not average, they're not normal, they're not your standard YA young adult novels, you'll love this. It's definitely got some graphic scenes in here, so be warned about that. I mean, after all, it flat out tells you in the book description that there are comparisons between this book and the show Dexter. Don't be shocked when you read it and there's some blood. And a lot of the reviews I've read that were negative, they seem to be really triggered and shocked by the fact that there was blood in the book and there were graphic scenes involving blood in the book. I get it if that's not your thing, but you bought a book whose cover has a scalpel dripping blood as the design. I mean, whose fault is that if you read it and those types of things bother you? Personally, I love books that push the boundaries just a little bit further. Those are the books that capture my attention. So I highly recommend Not Even Bones. I think the author did a fantastic job. This is her first published work, which is crazy because it's really, really well written. I mean, there are a few little errors here and there, but she even owns up to that at the very end, and she's like, you know what, this went through a crazy long editing process with beta readers throughout the entire process, and if there's mistakes, those are my mistakes. She even says that. She just seems like a really cool, down-to-earth person who happens to be able to write amazing fiction. I would give this a 5 out of 5 stars. In fact, I did give it a 5 out of 5 stars on my Goodreads because it's that good. If you would like to read this book, be sure to check out the link down in the description where you can get a copy for yourself. I highly recommend it. It's one of the best books I've read this year. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you love books and all that cool stuff, and I will see you guys later.